Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. In this video is to bring you a closer look at the Rockwood number 580-18 US10BE. This is a surface bolt, as you can see. A 580 by Rockwood literally means surface bolt. They have a 580, they have a 585. Those are the standard common style surface mounted, somewhat utilitarian surface bolts. Now, why would you want it? The common size is 8-inch. 12-inch is not unheard of. Anything beyond 12, you're generally getting into a scenario that you have a taller door than typical, so you'll see 18-inch. 18-inch would probably work out pretty well for an 8-foot tall door and an average height person. I can reach up and you know, my fingers will get to 7 foot. So if this is 18-inch, I should be able to safely grab that and still be able to, you know, manipulate it to the point where I can use this on an 8-foot door. People also install them at the bottom of the door because they literally don't want to reach down so far. Or it could be an aesthetic purpose where you do have unusually tall doors and you literally want, not only for functionality, but just because of the proportion or the height of a door, you want simply a longer bolt as well. So it goes hand in hand in that regard. So the 580 bolt in the 18-inch length, that is going to be available in 5 finishes, at least 5. They can do 612, which is satin bronze. They can do US10BE, which is oil rubbed bronze. They can do a US2060, which is satin chrome, and then they can do a US3, which is polished brass. Those are the finishes that they list. This bolt is US10BE. It's an equivalent of oil rubbed bronze, a dark bronze equivalent. This is a powder coated piece of hardware. Powder coating is basically a process by which you paint something, and that paint is literally dry. It's just particle. You run an electric current onto the piece itself with a negative charge or a positive charge, I forget. The paint itself has the opposite charge. It attaches itself electrically to the surface. You then cure it in an oven for what might be 20 minutes, I don't recall, at a particular temperature. The upside of powder coating is that it is an incredibly durable finish. Powder coating is a great durable finish. I have seen examples of how powder coating, even striking something like this with a pickaxe or a hammer, while you'll damage the material, you won't flake off like what would be plating or paint. So it's very durable. The downside of it is you need to be able to basically suspend the workpiece that you're painting. So this piece of equipment is comprised of the long bar, these 2 mounting points, the handle, and there must be some subcomponents happening here. The point of the matter is the handle probably doesn't need to be suspended. That can probably sit on a flat surface and it's probably not painted on the bottom. Everything else can be suspended. What can't be suspended easily is the long bar itself. And as a result of that, Rockwood has literally stated they have no choice but to drill a hole so that they can hang it, basically. They need to be able to hang this. That hook or the rod is connected to the source of where the electric charge is coming through. Now, I do regret that they placed the hole at the tip of the bolt. You know, I probably would prefer to have it over here where I can at least not see it half of the time, where my bolt projection is going to move. There's a retaining pin or a restricting pin. That's your bolt projection. But that's where they placed it. So be mindful if you're doing a powder-coated bolt, you are going to get a hole in the bolt. Okay, and that's what it's going to be like. So let's take a look at the extended description information now that we've qualified why there is a hole in this item and the other finishes. It is 18-inch in length, and there's a link below this video to a document called Template, and that is included with the item itself. Okay. When you look at the drawing that's there, they'll show you the 8-inch or the 12-inch bolt. And measuring our bolt that we have here, generally I find that that dimension is the overall length of the bolt itself. And that is, of course, indeed the case with the hardware that we have here in front of us. An overall length of the bolt itself. Oh, yeah, I have that tape measure backwards. (18-inch) overall length. Since we've got the tape measure, the width of the bolt, 3/4 inch. Its thickness, 1/4 inch. The width of the mounting plates is 2-inch, maybe 2 1/16. Center to center of those holes, about 1.5 inches. Its width, or its width, I'd say, I suppose, 3/4 inch. The question that we get all the time is, what is the projection? Well, the projection is literally how far the bolt can move between its handle and the pin that's restricting it. So that dimension is literally this. So it's basically 1 inch. That's going to basically be the projection of this bolt. So that when you install it and you throw the bolt, you got a 1-inch throw, basically is what it is. They're saying on the template 1 1/8. I always find that that's not exactly the case. That's a little bit smaller than 1 1/8. Yeah, it's probably 15/16. So the document is there, that is there, is really handy, but let's continue to study it a little bit further, because in the box you're going to get 2 strike plates. You're going to get an angle strike and then a mortise strike. You can call this a rim strike. You can call this a outswing strike, whatever you want to call it. But the way that they show the material listed there permits you to install that universal strike or the angle strike in either in-swing or outswing. Okay, you can do it either way. And depending on how the door swings and what side of the door you're going to mount it on is going to really dictate not only where you place the strike, but which of the 2 strikes that you're going to use. Okay, you've got the angle strike and you've got the mortise strike. Let's take quick dimensions. 2 in 29/32, so basically 2 in 7/8 or so. I'd say that'd be correct. A width of the item, 25/32, so about 3/4. Then that angle strike, 2-inch long. Projection, about 3/4. And its depth, about 3/4 as well. You can install this on an in-swing application, as you see, if you're going to use the angle strike, and it's literally going to be shown how it's being portrayed in the document that's there. So if you're going to do a in-swing application, this will be the top of the door, and this strike is going to have to mount onto the header if it's an in-swing application. And you've got plenty of room in there to account for the inset of your door as well. You could also install this horizontally should you want to. For some reason, I don't really see bolts like this installed horizontally. But this strike would be then a rim strike, where it's going to be literally surface mounted. Same concept at the header, but it will be mounted on the jamb accordingly. If you have an outswing application, you can literally use the same strike, and now you're going to mount this onto the stop of the frame, or what's actually called the soffit of the frame, and the door will swing out. In outswing applications, though, you generally are going to see a mortise strike. Okay, up in the header is generally what you're going to see in an outswing application. This would get mortised to what people would call the stop or the soffit. If you're doing a outswing application at the floor, you're going to certainly need to use this flat strike, because you're not going to be able to, there's no way to install. Well, I mean, you could install this on the floor and have it catch the face of this, but that's certainly going to be a tripping hazard. So you can use this strike. I can really only see you using it on outswing. It's a mortise strike. This strike can be done either way, but if it's an in-swing, it will really become a rim sort of mount, meaning the hardware is mounted on the rim edge of the door, so they call them rim night latches or rim deadbolts or a rim strike. It's basically telling you that it is mounted on the outside perimeter of the door, and I would think that it would be correct to say that that's always going to be an in-swing application. There's really no way to use a rim strike on an outswing because the two pieces of hardware don't meet each other. So that goes over the documentation and the template. There is information down below this video. This is an 18-inch bolt made of steel. They have this made of steel. That is definitely not the case. I don't know the base material of this. They don't list this made in stainless steel. That would lead me to conclude that the base material of this is indeed brass or bronze. The issue with that is this is a labeled product. Underneath that piece of material that's used to keep those plates together, that is clearly indicated as a UL listed product. If this was made of brass or bronze, it wouldn't be UL listed. It would be far too hot. The bolt would not survive. So as a result, I have to be tempted to say that it must be stainless steel, because it's not steel, according to the magnet. Okay. It is UL listed. You can certainly use a manual style bolt on a very particular application of fire-rated doors. If you have a pair of fire-rated doors and they're to a mechanical closet, meaning there's no human occupancy on the interior of the room, and those doors are always, when in use, the doors are open. There's someone present at the opening working on the mechanicals on the inside, like an electrical closet. Okay. And when the work is done in that room, those doors are manually closed and secured. So that's why it would be permissible. And plus, there's no human occupancy on the interior of the space. So those two reasons together collude to make this something that is permissible to use in that very limited, narrow scope of when you can use a manual bolt on a fire-rated door. And they're specifically listed on the inactive leaf only. They include that universal top strike and a mortise bottom strike. Sure, you've got two strikes. If you're going to put them top and bottom, well, you'll have two strikes left over if you order two. Then there's a link below this video to the product brochure that will show you the 580. And they do list it here as stainless steel. So what's interesting about how they're calling out the finishes is they call them out in their BHMA numbers, which would be 612 for satin bronze versus US10. US10 does not tell us the base material, so we will investigate that and then correct it. They're specifically saying 612. That means bronze base material. So this bolt is either made in stainless or steel or stainless steel. This is clearly stainless steel, available in those finishes that are listed. So if it's steel, it'll be a plated finish, a US3 polished brass plated finish, US10 satin bronze plated finish, satin chrome plated sort of finish as well. Then there is a list below this video, the list in the product brochure that shows the different lengths. You can go from 8-inch to 12-inch to 18-inch to 24-inch in the 580 series. The 582 is specifically stainless steel only, and is going to give you a different makeup of fasteners, so be mindful. When you go to a 582, you're only going to get a stainless steel base material, but you're going to get a different screw package as well. The 585 is awfully, is somewhat a common item as well. It's a much heavier bolt and can be padlocked, is why people occasionally like the 585, and the 582 can be padlocked as well. Okay, Finally, there is a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up, forgive me, let's back up a minute, I'm not quite done. All the fasteners are available. This client on this order, and there was an option, I was a bit ahead of myself, requested through bolts. So sex bolts or through bolts are included with this when those are required. You're going to use the machine screws that are there rather than the sheet metal screws that are there. Now these sex bolts are used when you are through bolting the bolt through the door, and the length of them is 1.5 inches or maybe just heavy on that. And that is because when you install this into a standard door, the inside thickness of the door, if the door is 1.75 inches thick, well, that inside thickness will be substantially less. And these bolts might be a little shy on what I'd like them to be. So they're about 1 9/16 inches. The purpose of the sex bolt is that when you tighten the screw down, you don't crush the door in. And this face of the bolt is meant to rest on the inside face of the steel, which means the size of hole that you're going to drill out here is going to have to be larger than the size of the hole for the thread itself, for the machine bolt itself. Let's take a little closer look at that. So the outside diameter of the threads of the machine bolt is 0.177. So I'd probably be looking to drill a 3/16 hole for this, no larger. Then the diameter of the bolt itself is 0.308. So I'd probably be looking to drill 5/16, no larger. Then you've got these splines on the end, and they're basically 0.323. Those splines are meant when you drill like a 5/16 hole. Those splines are going to mate into the inside wall thickness of the door itself, and permitting you to be able to run that screw from the other side without this turning on you. That's what those splines do. Unfortunate that they're not in a matching finish. That's an oversight, would be my guess, from the manufacturer. I would expect that those bolts to be in a complementary finish, and they're not. Be mindful of that. If you're ordering these bolts, absolutely indicate that you want the sex bolts to be in the proper finish, and if there's a problem with that, hopefully the factory picks up the note on the order. We'll alert you to it before proceeding, if we're able to, without finding out too late that they're not the right finish. Finally, now, there is a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the Rockwood products that we sell, but a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. Any questions on the Rockwood? This is their part number 580-18 US10BE surface bolt, or any other Rockwood product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.